Hello, my dear English learners. Welcome back to our channel, where history comes alive through stories that build your vocabulary, sharpen your listening skills, and spark your imagination. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to seize destiny with both hands and reshape the world around you? Can you imagine standing on the banks of a swollen river at dawn, knowing that one bold step forward would ignite a civil war and echo through centuries? What if I told you that a single man's ambition turned the Roman Republic upside down and laid the foundation for an empire that still influences our modern lives? If you're new here or haven't already, please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us keep bringing you these rich, engaging lessons that make English feel exciting and alive. Today we're diving deep into the extraordinary life of Julius Caesar, the Roman general and statesman whose name has become synonymous with power, strategy, and dramatic turns of fate. His story is fascinating because it blends breathtaking military conquests with political intrigue, personal courage, and heartbreaking betrayal, all wrapped in the vibrant tapestry of ancient Rome. By exploring his journey together, you'll not only travel back in time but also naturally absorb advanced vocabulary, complex sentence patterns, and idiomatic expressions that will enrich your own conversations and writing. So, let's settle in comfortably, perhaps with a cup of tea, and begin at the very start of Caesar's remarkable path. Picture this: it is the year 100 BC in the bustling heart of Rome. The city pulses with life, merchants shouting prices for olives and wine, senators in flowing togas debating in the forum, and the distant clang of hammers from blacksmiths forging weapons. Gaius Julius Caesar is born into a patrician family, which means an old, noble lineage, but one that is not particularly wealthy or influential at the time. His father dies when Caesar is only 15, leaving the young man to navigate a dangerous political world under the guidance of his strong-willed mother, Aurelia. Can you imagine the pressure? At such a tender age, Caesar already senses the weight of expectation. He refuses to follow the safe path that many young nobles choose. Instead, he marries Cornelia, the daughter of a powerful politician, and this decision soon puts him at odds with the ruthless dictator Sulla, who demands that Caesar divorce his wife to prove loyalty. But Caesar stands firm, his first taste of defiance. He flees Rome, hiding in the countryside, and this early act of courage reveals the unyielding ambition that will define his entire life. Ambition, that burning desire to achieve greatness no matter the cost. When Sulla finally dies, Caesar returns to Rome like a phoenix rising from the ashes. He quickly climbs the political ladder, serving as a military officer in Asia Minor, where he earns the prestigious civic crown for saving a fellow soldier's life in battle. Do you know what that feels like, to earn such public recognition? It fuels his confidence. Later, while sailing to the island of Rhodes to study public speaking, pirates capture his ship. The kidnappers demand a huge ransom, but Caesar laughs and tells them they should ask for more because he is worth it. Once freed, he raises a small fleet, hunts the pirates down, and, true to his word, crucifies every last one of them. That ruthless sense of justice becomes a hallmark of his character. Back in Rome, Caesar's star continues to rise. He is elected Pontifex Maximus, the high priest of the state religion, a position that gives him enormous prestige and a lavish house in the city center. Yet he craves more. He forms a secret alliance known as the First Triumvirate with two of Rome's most powerful men, the wealthy Crassus and the famous general Pompey. This political pact, sealed with marriages and promises, allows Caesar to become consul in 59 BC. As consul, he pushes through bold reforms that help the common people, land distribution for veterans and cheaper grain, but they also make powerful enemies among the old aristocratic families. Now, let's shift our focus to the chapter that truly showcases Caesar's military genius, his conquest of Gaul. In 58 BC, the Roman Senate appoints him governor of the province of Gaul, a vast and wild territory stretching across modern-day France, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland and Germany. Most Romans view it as a distant, barbaric land full of fierce tribes, dense forests, and unpredictable rivers. But Caesar sees opportunity. With only 4 legions at first, legions being the highly disciplined units of about 5,000 soldiers each, he launches a campaign that will last 8 long years. The air in those northern forests must have been thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the ground soft underfoot as his men marched through misty mornings. Caesar's forces face the Helvetii tribe, who are migrating in huge numbers. He defeats them decisively, then turns against the Germanic king Ariovistus. Battle after battle, he outmaneuvers his opponents with speed, engineering, and sheer willpower. One of the most dramatic episodes comes in 52 BC during the revolt led by the Gallic chieftain Vercingetorix. Imagine the scene: Vercingetorix, a tall, charismatic warrior with flowing hair and a fierce gaze, unites the tribes against Rome. He burns villages to deny Caesar supplies, then retreats to the hilltop fortress of Alesia. Caesar surrounds the entire hill with a double ring of fortifications, 11 miles of trenches, walls, and deadly traps, while another Gallic army approaches from outside to rescue their leader. The siege is brutal. Soldiers fight hand-to-hand in the mud, the clash of iron swords ringing out, arrows whistling through the air. Yet Caesar's tactical brilliance wins the day. Vercingetorix surrenders, and Gaul falls under Roman control. Throughout these campaigns, Caesar writes his famous commentaries on the Gallic War, which you might recognize as one of the earliest examples of clear, powerful Latin prose. He sends these reports back to Rome, carefully shaping his image as a brilliant commander who expands the empire for the glory of the Republic. His soldiers adore him, he shares their hardships, eats the same simple rations, and remembers their names. This loyalty will prove crucial later. By the end of the Gallic Wars, Caesar has conquered a territory larger than Italy itself, gained immense wealth from plunder, and created a battle-hardened army that is fiercely devoted to him. But every triumph carries a shadow, doesn't it? While Caesar is away conquering Gaul, the political situation in Rome grows tense. His old ally Pompey grows jealous of his rising fame, and the Senate begins to fear that one man holds too much power. They order Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. Caesar knows that obeying means political ruin, or worse, arrest and execution. This brings us to one of the most famous moments in history, crossing the Rubicon. In January 49 BC, Caesar stands on the northern bank of the small river Rubicon, which marks the boundary between his province and Italy proper. No general is allowed to bring troops across it without Senate permission. The night is cold, the water dark and swirling. His officers wait anxiously. Then Caesar utters the immortal words, "Alia iacta est," the die is cast. He leads his legion across the shallow river, committing himself and Rome to civil war. Today, we still use the idiom, crossing the Rubicon, to mean taking an irreversible step, passing a point of no return. Can you see why this phrase has survived for over 2,000 years? It perfectly captures that thrilling, terrifying moment when hesitation ends and action begins. The civil war that follows is swift and dramatic. Pompey and the Senate flee to Greece. Caesar pursues them with lightning speed, covering enormous distances in record time. His famous celeritas, or speed, becomes legendary. In 48 BC, the two armies clash at the Battle of Pharsalus in northern Greece. Picture the dusty plain under a blazing sun, thousands of soldiers in gleaming armor, the thunder of cavalry charges shaking the ground. Caesar's veterans, outnumbered but far more experienced, crush Pompey's forces. Pompey escapes to Egypt, only to be murdered there by the young pharaoh's advisors who hope to gain Caesar's favor. Instead of celebrating, Caesar weeps when he sees Pompey's severed head. Even in victory, he shows a touch of humanity that makes him more complex than a simple conqueror. In Egypt, he meets the young Queen Cleopatra, and their legendary romance unfolds amid the splendor of the Nile palaces, perfumed gardens, golden barges gliding on the river, and nights filled with music and intrigue. Together they defeat her brother in battle, and Cleopatra bears Caesar a son named Caesarion. Yet Caesar cannot linger forever. He returns to Rome in 47 BC, where the Senate, now under his influence, heaps honors upon him. He is appointed dictator, a ruler with absolute power, originally meant only for emergencies but now extended for longer periods. He uses this authority wisely at first, introducing sweeping reforms that stabilize the chaotic republic. He reorganizes the calendar, creating the Julian calendar with 365 days and a leap year every 4 years, the same system we still follow today, though slightly adjusted later. He expands citizenship to more provinces, reduces debt, builds public libraries and forums, and plans grand projects like draining marshes to create new farmland. His vision is breathtaking. He dreams of uniting the Mediterranean world under Roman law and culture, replacing corruption with efficiency. Yet power always attracts envy. Some senators whisper that Caesar wants to become king, a title Romans loathe because they remember the tyrannical kings of their distant past. Rumors swirl like storm clouds gathering over the forum. By early 44 BC, Caesar has been named dictator for life. He wears a purple robe, the color of royalty, and sits on a golden throne in the Senate. His health is failing, he suffers from epileptic seizures, sudden fits that leave him unconscious, but his mind remains sharp. He plans a massive campaign against the Parthian Empire in the east, hoping to conquer even more lands and perhaps crown himself king upon victory. On the morning of March 15, the Ides of March as the Romans called it, the air in Rome feels unusually heavy. Caesar feels uneasy, his wife Calpurnia has had nightmares of his statue bleeding, and she begs him to stay home. A soothsayer had warned him earlier, beware the Ides of March. But Caesar laughs off the omens and heads to the Senate meeting in the theater of Pompey. There, a group of senators, former friends and allies, surround him. They strike with daggers hidden beneath their togas. The first blows come from behind. Caesar fights back at first, but when he sees Marcus Brutus, a man he has trusted and even loved like a son, raising a knife, he utters the famous words, "Et tu, Brute? And you, Brutus?" In that heartbreaking moment, betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. He pulls his toga over his head and falls at the base of Pompey's statue, dying from 23 stab wounds. The assassins believe they have saved the Republic. Instead, they plunge Rome into more chaos. Mark Antony and Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, hunt them down. Civil wars rage again until Octavian defeats all rivals and becomes Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Caesar's death, ironically, ends the republic he claimed to defend and births the empire he had envisioned. Now, let's take a step back and reflect on Caesar's lasting legacy. His name became a title, Kaiser in German, Tsar in Russian, used by rulers for centuries. His military writings are still studied in war colleges today for their clarity and strategy. The Julian calendar influenced our modern timekeeping. Even the month of July is named after him. And in literature, Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar turned his story into one of the greatest tragedies in English, giving us lines like, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears," that we still quote. His life teaches us that ambition can build empires and also destroy them. Courage opens doors, yet unchecked power invites betrayal. Caesar was a formidable general, formidable meaning incredibly strong and inspiring both fear and respect, and a visionary statesman who reformed society, yet he underestimated the resentment his success created. As we wrap up this long journey through ancient Rome, I want to connect it directly to your English learning. Stories like Caesar's are perfect for B2 learners because they introduce nuanced expressions such as, crossing the Rubicon, seize the day, and, the die is cast. You've heard complex sentences describing battles, vivid sensory details that paint pictures in your mind, and formal vocabulary like, intrigue, consul, and dictator used naturally in context. Repeating these words, ambition, conquest, legacy, helps them stick in your memory so you can use them confidently in essays, discussions, or even casual chats about leadership and history. History isn't just dates and names, it's a living classroom for language. By listening to tales of real people who faced impossible choices, you train your ear for longer sentences, practice predicting what comes next, and expand the range of topics you can discuss fluently. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If Caesar's story moved you or taught you something new, please give the video a like, leave a comment below telling me which part fascinated you most, maybe the Rubicon moment or the dramatic assassination, and subscribe so you never miss our next historical adventure. Turn on the notification bell too, because we have many more inspiring figures waiting to help you level up your English. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and remember, your own story of growth can be just as epic.